Okay, now what is in-text citations? Uh, so when you write your paper, this session is very, very important because it kind of uh, begins an altogether new topic, right? So when you write your paper or any research paper, it is almost, I think, understood by now that we write that paper on the basis of some resources. Okay, so for example, you people wrote an annotated bibliography, and your current paper, controversy analysis paper, is based upon your understanding of the resources that you mention in uh, annotated bibliography, right? So annotated bibliography is that special kind of bibliography that basically helps you to organize your resources before you start writing your paper. All right. There is another thing which is called references, right? So the references come at the end. And you already know that from the previous class. References are the last section of your paper. Okay. So, and that is a structure that you should keep in mind for other research papers, or generally we call them assignments, that you will be writing for other courses, right? During your degree here at FCC. So whenever you are asked to write an assignment on a particular topic, the first step for you to have a proposal, even if your instructor does not ask for that. Make a draft of the proposal for yourself and then a list of the resources, annotated bibliography for yourself, right? So you don't have to, if your professor does not demand an annotated bibliography, you don't have to make it a very neat and clean and sophisticated document, right? You maybe can just use a piece of paper and a pen to write down the resources that you are going to consult in order to write that paper. But if you write your resources beforehand, before you actually start writing your paper, you will be very clearly knowing what is the context of your research. Okay, you won't be writing random things. Rather, your work automatically will become a scholarly work if you consult, if you know what resources are available, and if you know what resources are you going to consult to write your paper. All right. Now, once we have this understanding that our paper is based upon some of the resources that we listed in our annotated bibliography, then the question is, how should we acknowledge those resources when we use them in our paper? Because if we do not acknowledge those resources that we used in our paper, then we will be committing plagiarism, and we cannot do that, right? So answer to this question is that whenever we use any resources in our paper, we must acknowledge them using in-text citation method according to APA, right? Now, the in-text citation, here are some basics about it. What does APA citation require? APA in-text citation requires that wherever you quote, directly or indirectly, wherever you quote any source in your paper, you should, inside the text, wherever you quote it, right after the quotation, mention the last name of the author and after a comma, year of publication of that particular source. So if you, for example, cite, borrowed a line, a sentence, or a phrase, or an idea from from a writer, you must mention right after that phrase, quote, or idea, right after that mention the last name of the author and the year of publication and put them in parentheses, and there will be a comma after the last name, and then you will put the period, and then you will put the period after the then you will put the period after the parenthesis. Okay, so this is one thing. The other thing is that, for example, if you are citing something from a web page and you have an author of that particular essay or that particular article on the web page, you will just be mentioning the last name of the author, comma, and year of publication of that particular article, right? Now, there are some cases where you are citing a source which also has page numbers, right? So usually the articles, for example, newspaper articles on web pages, they do not have page number as such. Okay. But if you are citing from a book, books do have page numbers. Okay. That could be an electronic book or that could be a physical book. But books, in many cases, especially the PDFs, they have page numbers. So if your resource that you are using or you have used for your paper, it has a page number, you will put author's last name, a comma, year of publication, comma, and then you will also mention the page number with a P, right? And write the page number from where you you took that particular idea or that particular sentence or that particular phrase. If you are quoting from more than one pages, so if your, for example, quotation is very lengthy and it uh, is spread over 2 pages, right? So it begins from the bottom of page 199 and goes over to page 201, right? In that case, you should mention the page numbers with 2 P's, like PP period and then 199 dash 201. All right. So you have to do this wherever you quote or borrow an idea in the whole of the paper. Now, there are some cautions. So, if you are using within uh, the within the paper, if you are using uh, any titles of the resources, you must write those titles with upper uppercase. For example, permanence and change, right? So P is an uppercase and C is an uppercase. This applies only to those words which are more than 4 letters, right? So the words which are less than 4 letters, for them you use a lowercase, right? So if you refer to title of a source within your paper, capitalize all words that are 4 letters long or greater with the title of a source, right? So either 4 letters or more than 4 letters, then they should be uppercase, right? Exceptions apply only to short words that are verbs, nouns, pronouns, adjectives, and adverbs. For example, over here, in this case, writing new media, new is an adjective, right? Therefore, even if new is less than 4 letters, it has an uppercase over here. However, look at this title. There is nothing left to lose. Now again, is a verb, therefore I is an uppercase. However, to, it is not any of these. It is not a verb, it is not a noun, it is not a pronoun, it's not an adjective, it's not an adverb. Therefore, to we consider lowercase. Right? Now this is for using the title within your paper. We are not talking about references, the list of references. This is if you use a title of a or of a source within your paper, right? Also, in the in-text citation, uh, you must capitalize all the proper nouns and names as well as initials. For example, D. Jones. So this is name of the author, right? So J is an uppercase, D is an uppercase. Okay. Uh, Now here is something about the formatting of the titles further. So when capitalizing titles, capitalize both words in a hyphenated compound word. For example, natural born cyborg, right? So if you're when you are writing a title in the paper, okay, so the first letter of those words are uppercase, which are joined together with a hyphen, right? So natural born, it is treated as, I mean, apparently it is a one word, but it is treated as two words, and uppercase of both the words should be the first letter of both the words should be uppercase. Then capitalize the first word after a dash or colon. We have discussed that previously too. So defining film rhetoric, there is a colon. So the word after colon should start with uppercase, irrespective of that word is three letters or 4 letters or lower. If the title of the work is italicized in your reference list, italicize it and use title case capitalization in the text. So the closing of the American mind. So again, if this title appears in the text, then it should be all uppercase, right? But we should italicize it as well if it is italicized in our reference list. You don't have to be worried about this particular. I don't think you will come across such situation. If the title of the work is not italicized in the reference list, then you use double quotation marks and title case capitalization, even though the reference list uses sentence case, right? So for example, multimedia narration constructing possible words. This is how you will write a title in the text of your paper, right? Even if in the reference list it is written in a different way. Okay. Now there are two possibilities, or there are two ways to write the quotation itself: short quotation or long quotation. Okay. So look at this example. According to Jones 1998, comma, inverted comma start, students often had difficulty using APA style, especially when it was their first time. Inverted commas close, in the parenthesis P period 199, and then parenthesis close, and then a period. Now, you must notice that first of all, any direct quote that we take from a source, it must be within inverted commas, right? Now, other thing, even if we discussed previously that wherever we quote, right after the quotation, we should mention the author's name, author's last name, comma, and year of publication of that particular source, right? But look, over here, if we use the author's name in the sentence in general, then we don't need to put that author's name once again in the parenthesis over here. All right. However, wherever we use the author name, we should mention the year of publication right after that. Okay. So as a general formula, we put the author name, the year of publication, and page number after the quotation. That is the general formula. We already discussed that. Okay. However, if you would like to mention the writer's name in the sentence, like according to Jones, then put the year of publication right after the author's name and don't mention the author's name at the end of the sentence. Rather, mention just the page number from where you took this quotation at the end of the quotation in the parenthesis and put a period after that. I mean, it is common sense, right? It is just common sense, but you need to know the rule, right? So the rule is, if author's name is mentioned in the sentence, do not write the author's name in the parenthesis, and mention the year of publication right after the author's name wherever you use it in the sentence, right? So this is another way to quote. Still, there is another variation. Please read this example. Jones 1998 found students often had difficulty using APA style, in parenthesis, page 199, and then semicolon. What implication does this have for teachers? Question mark. Now, again, this example is very much similar to this example. Only that the only difference is that now the author's name is being used in a little different manner. So instead of saying according to James, over here we are just saying, instead of saying according to Jones, we are just saying Jones found, and then we put this quotation in quotation marks, right? So even if we did not use the expression according to, still we are referring to the author outside the quotation, and we are referring to the author in the sentence itself. Once again, if author's name is mentioned in the sentence itself, we do not put the author's name in parentheses again. All right. However, once again, if we use the author's name in the sentence, we must put year right after the name, and the year should be in parentheses. This is the year when that particular resource was published. The page number goes right after the quotation. This is very important. Now, here is something additional in this particular example. So the page number does not go to the end of the sentence. The page number goes to the end of the quote, right? So wherever you finish the quote, put the parenthesis right after that. Put the citation right after that. Okay, so we put this citation right after where inverted commas close, right? We do not put author's name here because it is already mentioned. We do not put year over here because we are supposed to mention the year wherever we mention the author. Okay, and we put page 199 over here because that is where quote ends. However, because the sentence continues, so we write the rest of the sentence after that. Now, this last example, this is what we already discussed. Please read this example. She stated, comma, students often had difficulty using APA style. Inverted comma, began, inverted comma, close. Within parenthesis, Jones, comma, 1998, comma, page 199, parenthesis, close. And then a comma, but she did not offer an explanation as to why. Right? Now, in this case, please note that we did not use the author's name in the sentence. We did not use the name. We refer to the author by using the pronoun she. She stated, comma, and here is the quote, the whole quote. Because the author's name is not mentioned in the sentence, right? Therefore, we should mention the author's name within the parenthesis, comma, and then the year of publication, comma, and then the page number. Parenthesis close, and then if the sentence does not finish, the sentence will just continue after the citation. All right. So in this case, this is the citation. In this case, this is the citation. In this case, this is the citation. Right? And I hope you understand why this citation is different from this citation. Right? In the case of this citation, the author's name is mentioned in the sentence. Therefore, we do not mention the author's name again. However, in this case, the author's name is not mentioned in the sentence. Therefore, author's name appears right after the quotation marks, along with the year and page number. Any questions so far, students?
Okay.
Go ahead, please. If any question. Okay, then let me finish it quickly. Now, now, now you must note that this is the way you will write the quotation in your own paper as well. Okay, this is the kind of structure of writing the quotation as well, right? So you are right now understanding not only how to write the citation, but also how to really put the quotation in a sentence, right? These are called short quotations. The other option is to use the longer quotations. Okay, so the longer quotations are the ones which are 40 words or longer. If you have a quotation which is 40 words or longer, then you should write that quotation in a freestanding block. Now, what is this freestanding block? Look at the example will make it clear. Now, in this example, whatever is written next to this oval, right to the oval, this is a quotation basically. This is more than 40 words. Therefore, it is written as a separate block. Notice that the paragraph above and the paragraph below this quotation, they are excuse me. So the paragraph above and the paragraph under the quotation, they do not have an indentation. However, this quotation is indented from the right. Okay, I hope you understand what indentation is. So basically, you move the quotation, the text of the quotation to 0.5 inches from the right. Okay, basically from the left towards right. All right. Now, a few things about it. A quotation of this kind, which is more than 40 words, does not have inverted commas. Got it? And then we apply the same thing over here. If author's name is already mentioned in the sentence, like Jones 1998, you do not need to mention author's name over here, just the page number. If you do not mention the author's name in the sentence, then you will mention author name and date of publication over here. There are no quotation marks for the longer quote, right? And finally, you indent it from the right for 0.5 inches. This is how you write a longer quote. Oh, yes, and one very important thing. This period, note this period does not appear after the parenthesis. Shorter, it appears before the parenthesis. Okay, it is different for a shorter quote. For a shorter quote, period comes after the parenthesis. All right. So, students, we discussed today how to quote for a short quote and for the long quote, and how to cite them according to APA. All right.